we do the warning
What's,
where
what's the warning? Do you
the
want to say
warning
for
where
it?
so like when he was telling me about this a couple weeks ago, he's like, "Can I make you cry? Is that okay?"
Actually, let me just point this out to people who don't know. If you guys don't
Okay.
know, Farnott, she is the creator of the comic ABY that was number one comic
Asleep,
for 2 years.
asleep beside you,
Asleep
in
beside
case
you.
anyone
Yeah, my
knows
bad.
an
I forgot that
acronym.
that acronyms are a thing. Asleep beside you. That was the number one comic on Webtoon for so long, despite the fact that she stopped uploading. Okay, I think a very big question most people would probably ask you is, you haven't made anything in 2 years. The last thing you made was one of the most successful things in Discover, and so good that the only thing that was considered to be your competition, as in the work that was most similar to yours, while it did become featured, it still managed to do progressively statistically worse than you forever. We're not going to mention the name of that, but it's just, if you read her comic, you will know from reading the comments what people considered at the time to be her competition, quote unquote. And that got featured, and it still managed to do eternally statistically worse than you. And you managed to remain a statistical anomaly at the top, at so high at the top that at one point you had the same numbers as some featured stuff that was getting pushed on the front page in terms of total likes and subs and shit like that.
It's cool.
I think when you finished, it would be fair to say success over, success done. Got to go make something new and successful, but you didn't. And I'm wondering if you spent all that time trying to recreate the same success from before.
Yes and no. See, I love these vague answers that I'm giving. We're already starting on a good
Well, good
good
note.
point. But no, I could say
Mm,
that I did try to recreate that success.
mm,
That was a part of it because starting something out, you can see from Asleep Beside You, if you look at the later chapters, you can see like new titles announcements because I
yeah,
wanted to get those readers to come into this new comic. Because at the time, I had been so used to having that audience and having that feedback
yeah,
that it became such an important aspect to what I believe was my work. So having have starting these comics and like going into it without the planning, just thinking, oh, if I put something out, somebody's gonna like it, right? And
yeah.
it doesn't have the same success. It's a little disheartening, and then I lose that momentum and that focus and that drive,
Yeah. I mean,
and
chasing
and
the
then I'd
dragon
ask,
never works out for anyone.
no, it doesn't. But obviously, I'm a testament to that.
Are you proud of your work? And you said
I
yes.
am, yes.
And I said, and I said this yesterday. I'm going to say it again. You answering so quickly is rather surprising. Uh, I find a lot of people who, even though they like their work, being able to quickly and easily say that they are proud of what they've made is hard. So to be proud of your work to that degree, where you're just like, no matter where it's gone, no matter where it's been, you've been like, on board with it anyway.
Well, I put a lot of work into this.
Of
This
course.
is like I started drawing when middle school,
Yeah.
and I wasn't even serious then. But if I take a look back of how far I've
Such
gone,
an unserious middle schooler.
like it wasn't serious at all. I think I drew like a she looked like Wonder Woman, but she wasn't. I don't know, but I was still. It was in my like writing novels phase, and I'm like, I don't
Mm,
want to look for pictures of
yeah.
actors to cast my characters in. I'll just draw 'em myself, and that's
Yeah.
how it started.
She went onto Wattpad and realized that Wattpad
I
is
did
not
not go
where
on
real
Wattpad. We
bullshit.
talked about this.
Bullshit, you went to Wattpad. I
I
know
was
you
on
did.
Fiction Press.
Even worse. Go on.
But like I've put a lot of work into this, so I
Yeah.
can't say that I'm not proud of where I've gone because that'd be denying everything that I've put into myself up to this point.
Yeah. All right. I get you.
If I can't complete something, I have to take responsibility for it.
Indeed.
Like in all aspects of life, if I can't do something, I take responsibility for me not doing it. And I'd rather, even if I have the excuses and I'm able to use them, I don't use them. I just tell them I can't.
Yeah.
Like I'm not looking for pity. I'm just letting you know because it's more important to let you know than anything. Except like sometimes I just leave and I don't come back. Also, so I shouldn't be. I should just shut up. I should just stop talking.
Why haven't you made anything new? Like you talked about it and vaguely, and you were saying it in the sense of you were having issues with actually being able to follow through with stuff after a little while. But I mean,
Yes.
is that really that big of a problem?
It's not the biggest aspect, but it's definitely a part of it, and it's the easiest thing to say when somebody asks.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's a combination of like multiple events happening at once that I can't control. So let's bring in Sharks Deserve Love too. As like, I haven't put that on hiatus, but I haven't updated in like a month, so it's definitely on a break.
Yeah.
And what happened with that is that I was doing very good. I was updating regularly.
You were.
And then one day I like visit home and go see my family for a couple days, a weekend.
Yeah, I remember.
And I tell everyone like, hey, okay, I'm gonna be gone for the weekend. I'll be back. And then the next week shows up and it's midterms. And the midterms comes and kicks me in the ass.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was just a whole lot of personal issues and all of this stuff combined together, which was like, okay, I need to push this on like the back burner for a second and figure this out. So it was a good week. I was actually working on the redraws for it during this week because I decided to change up the style again because I'm like, oh, that'd be cute. And every webcomic artist, once in their life, at least, you are not a webcomic artist if you have not redrawn your first chapter. Okay? But like I'm going through this and I'm like, okay, I take a break, I step back and I'm looking at what I've done as far as planning and what I intend to do and how much work it's going to get to that point. And at one point I realized that it's either not as well planned out as I'd like it to be, or I'm just not liking where it's heading.
Okay.
For Sharks Deserve Love too, I was thinking about it, and I don't like Shark that much, which is strange, and it's awful to say, and it's awful to admit it, but like, it's stuff like that where it was just like small things that if I step back for a second and I look at it, I realize like, hey, you were probably way too excited and you jumped into this way too quickly to realize that this was going to be a sustainable project.
Do you find comic creating pointless?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It's actually the core of what I want to do.
Okay.
Because it's storytelling and it's visual art, and I want to get into visual development or storyboarding, and that's exactly what that is. So having that practice,
yes, of course,
as well as like the film aspect behind it and the writing aspect and the art aspect, like all of those mixed together. If you want to tell a story visually, that's how you do it. Even if it branches out into any medium that you want to do, comics, illustration, film, animation, all of that jazz. I think that has a little bit of everything. So I don't regret going into that. I find all of that as valuable as me learning how to draw the basics of life drawing, of anything really. And I don't regret putting out all those projects because I learned something new and took something out of each one.
Before we go on to the next point, life drawing. Farnott would like me to give this as a PSA to all artists who haven't done
this.
Yes,
please.
If you haven't done a life drawing class yet, do a life drawing class. All right.
Not even PSA. A class.
Yeah, like a life drawing.
Like just get into
classes.
it.
Yeah, just do.
You
life
can
drawing.
go online and find reference and do it yourself.
Yeah.
And learn anatomy. Yeah. I had to learn the whole skeletal system and the whole muscular system for class, and I'm still doing it. It's my third year, and they're still making me write. I know what a tricep is. Shut up.
Shut up. Don't believe it. She doesn't know what a tricep is. Don't listen to this bullshit. Just go and do a life drawing class.
But it's really important. It really helps. And even if you're stylized art, and you're so animate on stylizing yourself, which is completely fine. You do you. Having those basics will make things look a lot nicer. And you can, as long as you know the rules first before you break them. Yeah. It helps so much.
You gotta be a master of the rules to break them like twigs. You want to work in this field. You want to do the big art for the big art studios. Yeah?
Sure.
I don't know what that accent was.
Yeah.
What do you think you'll still be making creative shit? Like, do you think you get to that point where you'll become like a lot of artists who work for companies now, where they or work for work for a paycheck and art, not like doing their art for themselves and earning money anyway. They work for like the paycheck, where they just make what they make. They only upload what they're making on their projects, and they never really make outside work.
I want to get to the point where my work is my own personal project.
Okay.
Burn. No, but no, I am a little afraid of that happening. So I can see it happening. It has happened with my schoolwork.
Because when it comes to creative fields, burnout is
so huge.
Yeah.
I've felt it before.
Yeah, even this podcast, it's only every 2 weeks because of stuff that we try to plan behind the scenes, a lot of stuff that we're trying to get done, plus our degrees, plus our jobs, plus our work. We're consistently burning out. Second PSA from Farnott. If you are working in an art degree of any art sorts and you have applied to a job and they have agreed to give you a job based on your portfolio, which is pretty much all they look at, take the job and drop out. It's really not worth doing
Let me explain that before you drop out of school.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Just before you drop out.
I overheard this actually. I wasn't even part of the conversation. But I heard this from an art professor that I had. She was my professor for pre-production. And she was telling the class that one of her previous students had come in asking her for help for a test for like Steven Universe or something. And she was wondering, like, what if I get accepted into the studio? Do I still go to school? How do I balance that out? And my professor had told her that if she got the job based on the portfolio and the work that she put out while she was a student, there was really no reason to keep going to school, because you're going to school to get this degree to get into this job. But if you get this job, you've already skipped a step.
Yeah.
The only reason she said that you should be holding on to your degree is if you plan on teaching in the future, because you're going to need that degree in order to get a master's.
Yeah.
And you
also
become a professor.
Also, as someone who's actually going into teaching, you need a degree to be able to get your teaching degree. If you could get back into it right now, of course, it means you'll be starting from zero in a different space.
Okay.
Would you do it like right now?
Right now? There's a lot going on in my life right now. I have finals in 3 weeks.
Not like today. I mean, this general moment. Let's say summer's coming up. If you could start in summer, because we're graduating together, actually, which is really funny.
Actually, I might take a semester off.
Are you fucking? You cannot do this to me. We have to have our graduation day on the same day. I need to be able to text you wearing
Japan. I might go traveling with my beautiful sister.
Don't do this bullshit, because
we'll
I need to be able to call you when I've got my cap and gown, and then we can sit down together in caps and gowns and drink wine.
You're just gonna fly in from the other side of the world?
You're literally gonna fly.
Here.
I mean, I've done it before. Don't doubt me. I'm coming to the boy.
You're coming to my graduation?
No. I'm not coming. I'm not even sure that I'm going to my graduation.
Never think that what you're doing is pointless.
Oh.
I guess would be the first thing I'd like to say to everyone.
Generic.
Even to the people who are doing very well in their comic making, but have produced trash, like you said. Never think what you're doing is pointless, because everything that you do has some value to it, even if it's a mistake.
Yeah.
You learn from that mistake and you keep moving forward. And there's a lot of importance into making something that I take for granted, that a lot of people take for granted, that with Asleep Beside You, I didn't realize it affected so many people until sometimes I just go back and I look at it and go, wow, it's actually touched a lot of people. It's actually meant something to somebody. And even if you're just starting out, and even if your comic isn't doing as good as you'd hoped, or maybe it's doing way much better than you ever thought, your work will always mean something to someone, even if that person is just you. Even if you're the only fan of your work, that's what makes it important. So don't do something that you're not a fan of, because if you're not a fan of it, then who's going to be a fan of it if you're not your number one fan, you know?
Besides, like,
So,
yeah. Also, assholes
yeah.
like me are like a dime a dozen. Someone will always have something to... I mean, I'll be real. Someone will always have something bad to say about what you make.
Always.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Like, I love her so much, but she knows. I tell her bad shit about her work all the time.
Just call me out here. I'm already out in the open.
Yeah. I mean, I literally asked my friend, one of my best friends, to come onto a show, come onto my live broadcast and listen to me ask her very intimate questions about her artistic career. So I think it's fair to say, for people who came to listen to all the serious questions, we've basically gone through all the serious questions.
Oh, good.
Her work.
It's over?
And, yeah, it's over.
I didn't cry, guys.
You made it. 1.5 hours. You didn't cry. I will say, for people who don't know a lot of her work, Farnott draws a lot of cool stuff on Instagram. Don't bother reading her comics unless, you know, you want to read it asleep beside you. Other than that,
that's the only one worth it.
Go on. Other than that, go on her Instagram. Peace out.
Right, bye.
Don't die. Live long and prosper. The truth is out there.
Indeed it is. Just end it.